My roommate's been acting weird recently, part 1. I don't know what to do with this experience. I figured since you guys are so versed with these types of issues, you would be able to help. I'm sorry if this seems a bit disjointed. I'm still in shock and just need to get the words out. I'll keep you all updated if anything changes. I met my roommate Jackson about 6 months ago. We're both freshmen and we get along well enough, but recently he started acting weird. I got back to our room late about a week ago. I opened the door slowly as I didn't want to wake him up. He's quite a light sleeper. I shut the door behind me as quietly as possible and turned around to see him standing staring out the window. Just staring. He's never sleepwalked before and I'd never seen anyone sleepwalking, so I didn't know what to do. I heard that you weren't supposed to wake them up, but it was pretty unnerving. I got into my PJs hoping he'd wake up, but he didn't. Eventually I decided I had to wake him up. I wasn't about to go to sleep with him standing just like that, as the window was right in front of my bed. I turned the lights on. He blinked, shook his head and looked around, disoriented. "Jackson, you good?" I asked him. He jumped. "Oh yeah, I'm just, Nightzach." With that, he got into bed. He seemed agitated and kept me awake with all this shifting around. I assumed it was just a nightmare, and honestly, I didn't think it was that weird. It's when you put it in context with the next few days that gets concerning. He kept asking me about my hometown. I grew up in Maine and went hunting every season. He seemed particularly interested in my hunting stories, hanging on every word, as I explained how to track prey. Again, doesn't seem that weird. But then he started questioning me about the tracks I left, how I would cover them if I had to, if I had ever felt watched. "Well, yeah," I told him. "In the woods, there's always something watching." He seemed to pale at that and fell silent. This was the turning point for me. He refused to come on our morning runs anymore. Our campus is fairly rural and we would normally run down a nature trail. The scenery was lovely and in the early mornings it reminded me of hunting back home. He didn't flat out refuse to come with me. He just stopped mid-run one day. He seemed worried and when I asked him what was wrong, he wouldn't answer. He asked to change our route, but I like this one and I find a routine helps me stay on track. When I told him, he got very agitated and kept warning me that it'll get me. I started getting irritated and eventually ran off without him. When I got back to the room, he gave me a massive hug and was almost crying. He was so worried about me. I tried to get him to calm down and eventually, once I closed the blinds and shut the door, he became coherent. "The woods," he got out. "What about them?" "The woods. It's in the woods." His eyes were huge and he was clearly panicking. "What's in the woods?" Now I was scared. He'd never been like this before. This wasn't normal. He just whimpered, glancing around him. The poor guy was clearly terrified. Okay, it's okay. Let's go get some help," he screamed. No, that's worse. They'll lock me up. They'll, oh God." With that, he burst into tears. I called the campus police and they ended up admitting him to a psych ward. I went with him and tried to be as supportive as possible, but they ended up sending me home. "Most likely, it's just some extreme paranoia, possibly psychosis," the nurse explained. "Leave him with us, go get some rest, and come back and visit in hours." With that, I headed back to my room. It seemed empty without him. I felt bad about what I did, even though I still think it was my only option, and was the best thing for him. That being said, I'm determined to help him however I can. Him being admitted doesn't mean I'm giving up on him. I'll visit, help him catch up on missed work. I opened the window and leant out, trying to breathe some fresh air. That's when I saw it. I realised what he'd been doing the first night. I pulled back in and shut the window. It overlooked the woods. If you like this video, please like and subscribe so I can add more content.